I'm gonna try something different. Uh, bro, why is this taking forever to? Yeah, whatever. Bro, why is this? Why can't I find my live, bro? I'm just trying to pull up my chat. Here we go. Bro, why is this? Why can't I find my live, bro? What's up, Swansea? I'm just doing a trade review on the day. You already know what happens, so today ain't nothing necessary. I would just rather do it on live, see if people ask questions or whatever. Okay, so I just posted it. I'm not gonna really wait for people to come in. I'm just gonna do it because it's supposed to be a recording that I'm gonna link to the previous video that I uploaded. I just wanted to have the video out yesterday and then, the day after show an example of it playing out in the market. So I'm just gonna go over what I saw, my thought process, the entry for the first fair value gap, and the breaker that I took my entry off of. So first thing that's relevant, right? Is of course I always start on the weekly chart. Obviously, you don't have to pull up the weekly every day, but I'm starting here in case anyone wants to just look back and see my full thought process, right? But on the weekly, it's pretty clear that we want this internal liquidity, this fair value gap. We had swept these external highs, these all-time highs, and it looks like we're finally taking a bearish direction. So we would want to possibly look for shorts throughout this week. Whenever you're expecting the weekly to go one way, expect the beginning of the week to manipulate. So on Monday, like I'm not gonna just expect us to dump. Chances are we might manipulate. We might what's it called again? We might go long instead of short immediately. Like that's just my thought process throughout the week. Eventually, we will make it to the weekly target, which I believe is this gap. So in general, the on the higher time frame, I'm looking for shorts. When you check the daily, yeah, when you check the daily, you just see that we've swept the previous day high. Let me pull up the 4 hour. That's what's most relevant. That's the most relevant part. Yeah, I'm already there. When you pull up the 4 hour, you'll see that NQ has came up and took this high, right? I believe, and ES did not. So that was the first thing I saw. So we already have a bearish drawn liquidity, right, from the weekly. We're expecting us to come down. We've already manipulated in the beginning of the week, like we already came up on Monday, right? It's Tuesday now. And we're showing high time frame bearish SMT. All right. Let's go down to the 15 minute. And I'm not gonna like cheese you guys, and we're gonna go all the way to here, right? What do we see on the 15 minute? We see that there is a possible bearish breaker. We see the swing low, swing high, swing low, swing high, and we're about to, it looks like we might close below this swing low here. So I'm thinking, all right, 4-hour S&T 15-minute breaker in the direction of the high time frame drawn liquidity, which is bearish. So all this looks good for shorts, right? Check the 1 minute. You'll see this beautiful breaker set up here. Swing low, swing high, close below the previous swing low. Your breaker is here, right? You check the projection of it. The -2 is down here, right? Obviously, it seems that if this breaker plays out, that we would close below this low here on the 15 minute. So that would print a 15-minute breaker. So we have a lot of bearish confluence here, right? By the way, the reason why this breaker is so valid is because of the fact that this is a session SMT up here. NQ has taken these London highs, and ES didn't. This is why today was like if you're all my close friends on IG, this is why I posted my thought process before it happened, because this was too like clear for me to like not say anything about, you know. This is a perfect example of like an easy day, what you should be looking for, ideal scenarios, ideal setups. Okay. So again, really quick, session SMT, 1 minute breaker, the 15-minute bearish breaker, the 4-hour SMT, the bearish drawn liquidity, right? These are all things that I use for my thought process. Now, there's two ways you could have went about this. You could have been a little bit impatient, like I was, and enter where you would expect the 15-minute bearish breaker to form. I personally recommend just honestly waiting until the breaker actually forms and then entering, but like I was being impatient. Also, you could have just set your entry like a limit at this breaker here, which we did eventually retrace into anyway. So short here, stop loss at the high. You target the -2 of this breaker. And I mean, yeah, like we're about to get into 9:30 open, so this could have been your like partial or whatever, right? This -2, because honestly, I think it was pretty clear we was going to make this 15-minute breaker, and then you can now use this 15-minute breaker projection, and you could try to target the -2, which was even lower right here, right? But of course, we're about to retrace because we know how open played out this day, so I'm gonna just go over that really quick, how I would have approached it, right? So again, this gap here is not your first fair value gap. This is not your first fair value gap. It was formed on the 9:30 candle. So you cannot use this. This is your first fair value gap right here. All right. So at this point in time, all right, what you should be seeing is that we have this 15-minute breaker that formed, this 1 minute breaker that formed. I mean, like the 1 minute breaker is irrelevant now, the -2 just got hit. But we have this 15-minute breaker that formed, session SMT, also a 4-hour SMT. We already have a bearish drawn liquidity just in general. I'm not going to be looking for longs off of this gap. It doesn't really make sense for us to be long here, right? I actually wanted to check if there was SMT that happened when we came up to here. I know that, let's just check the 15-minute really quick. So NQ came up and swept all this. Okay, ES did the same. So there wasn't an SMT, I believe, unless if it was like on the 1 minute time frame that I'm not seeing, because obviously ES did come lower than NQ did, right? But the SMT already was in play. Like I said, like in the video, the SMT can happen in pre-market. We have this London high SMT, and like I already had the bearish bias initially because of that. So first fair value gap can help you out a lot, but sometimes the breakers and the breakers can also give you a sense of direction. That's why I like to use both, because I have something that I can look for at the open, and I have something that I could use maybe in pre-market or later in the day if I need to, you know. So anyways, we eventually come down 10 o'clock, we get the news, and then we inverse the gap here. At this point, it's just barbecue chicken, right? You place your short entry here, you place your stop at the third leg, and then you could target the -2, the 15-minute breaker, which was not that much R. It was like 1.5 R. You move your stop to break even after we sweep these lows, 100%. And honestly, this was a day that you could probably hold for longer. Like if you know the bearish draw is lower, like if you know the draw is lower, you could start targeting like these -4 projections and shit. You know, of course, I didn't hold that today because I have consistency rules on my current accounts, and it's annoying, but you know, I'm gonna get to that point. I just bought 5 top step evals, but enough about me, right? You enter here, stop break even here, maybe first partial here at this -2, maybe you partial again at these PM lows, maybe you partial again at this -4, and then like you already know what ICT says, like I mentioned in the video before, you can hold it all the way down to 330. So yeah, like you're gonna catch me like holding like one micro, holding one little micro all the way up until 330 on these type of trend days. Like this is a perfect model for like if you're for trend days, bro, because we genuinely will not retrace back. Like you just put your stop break even and hold it until 330, like I said. So again, today was pretty clear. I see a lot of people that are watching right now. It says 9 people are watching. I don't see anyone talking in chat, but I do appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I was just recording this trade review because like I wanted to just have it out there. I didn't want to make a whole video for it. I thought it would be better to just live stream it. So yeah. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. You were watching. I don't see anyone asking any questions, so I'm gonna just leave it at that. Have a good night, y'all.